Which is better, the LG K51 or the LG Stylo 6? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, coming at you with my comparison between the LG K51 and the LG Stylo 6. These are both two very new budget phones from LG, and right now these are both available at Boost Mobile, but I know that they're also going to be making their way over to a variety of other carriers, such as Metro by T-Mobile, and I'm sure eventually they'll even be offered factory unlocked. Now, right now, at least at Boost, you can get the LG K51 for $89.99, whereas you can get the LG Stylo 6 for $179. So I'm sure the deals and promotions will change all the time, so definitely take a look at the links in the video description to see the most up-to-date prices. Now, the LG K51 features a 6.5-inch display compared to the LG Stylo 6, which has a larger 6.8-inch display. And you can see when holding these two devices up side by side, especially with the bases of these two phones being level, the Stylo 6 is certainly larger. However, the width of these two phones is actually the same. Another thing I want to mention too is that I have the brightness turned up at 100% on both phones. And neither of them are necessarily as bright as other phones that I've reviewed in the past, so I do want to point that out. Now with both devices, we're getting LCD displays. However, with the LG K51, the display on here is 720p compared to a 1080p display with the LG Stylo 6. We're getting a PPI of 293 with the LG K51 compared to a PPI of 395 with the Stylo 6. Now the K51 features a 19.5:9 aspect ratio, whereas the Stylo 6 has a display that's a bit taller at 21.5:9. So without a doubt, the display is a little bit more narrow but tall with the Stylo 6, compared to the K51, which is shorter and wider in proportion. Now with both devices, we are getting a water drop notch at the top, and we're getting a little bit of a thicker bottom bezel. Now both phones feature 13 megapixel front-facing cameras, and definitely check out my dedicated review videos about both phones to see photo and video samples from them. Now with the LG K51, we're getting 32 gigabytes of internal storage, compared to the LG Stylo 6, which offers 64 gigs, which is double that amount. Now both phones do give you microSD card expansion though, so you do have the ability to expand that storage. Now neither of these two phones feature wireless charging, but they both do have fingerprint sensors on the back. So we'll try that out right now, starting with the LG K51. So nice and quick there. Now we'll try out the fingerprint sensor with the Stylo 6. So pretty fast with both, maybe not the quickest fingerprint sensors that I've ever seen, but they do get the job done. Now on the back of both devices, we have triple camera setups. So with both phones, we have a 13 megapixel main camera. We also have a 5 megapixel ultra wide angle camera with both devices as well. But with the LG K51, we have a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera compared to a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera with the Stylo 6. Here's how things look through the front facing camera on both phones. By the way, I'm actually recording this video with the Samsung Galaxy A51, so let me know what you think of the quality. And then flipping over to the rear cameras, this is how things look. We'll now switch to the ultra wide angle cameras, and you can see that it looks like the LG Stylo 6 can fit a bit more content into the frame with the ultra wide camera, but still cool to see that we are getting that feature with both phones here. Now we're getting portrait mode with the rear camera and also the front camera, so that is very cool. Now both phones feature 3 gigabytes of RAM, and with the LG K51, we're getting the MediaTek Helio P22 processor, and with the LG Stylo 6, we're getting the MediaTek Helio P35. Now I did run a benchmark test with both phones, and I'll show you the scores right now. But overall, I'm pretty pleased, especially considering that both devices are available at very inexpensive prices. But with the LG K51, we got an overall score of 83255, and with the LG Stylo 6, a score of 105537. So neither of those scores are really that great. Like I said, in proportion to the price tags of these devices, it makes sense that we're getting scores like this, but definitely compared to like a flagship phone, for example, you should definitely expect these two devices to be a little bit more on the slow side. But if you are one of those people that does a lot of phone calls, text messages, kind of light to moderate social media usage, and you occasionally like to watch videos, then I feel like both phones will get the job done performance-wise. But if you are more of a power user, maybe someone that edits videos on your phone, and you like to play high-intensity games, then I would recommend avoiding both of these devices because you will run into performance issues. Now, video recording with both phones maxes out at 1080p. They both feature beefy 4,000 milliamp hour internal batteries, which is nice to see. And with the LG K51, there is no NFC, whereas with the LG Stylo 6, we do get NFC. So that's a nice bonus there with the Stylo 6. Now with the K51, we're getting Android 9 Pie as the software with the LG skin laid over. And of course, we're getting LG skin as well with the Stylo 6, but we are getting Android 10. Now I have no idea if, when, or ever the LG K51 will be getting Android 10, but considering that the phone just launched now with Android 9 Pie, I feel like we probably won't, if ever, get Android 10. So definitely be happy with the software that comes here on the phone. Now with the Stylo 6, I have no idea what their plans are about updating the phone to Android 11, but if history does repeat itself, all the previous Stylo phones have gotten one major software update, so this phone likely will get Android 11, but it probably won't happen until at least the middle of next year, so that's a pretty long time. But taking a closer look at the hardware on these two phones, like I said, the displays are not very bright on either device, but it does seem like the Stylo 6 has at least a little bit of a brighter display. But of course, we're getting all those other advantages too, like having 1080p and just a larger display size in general. So definitely, you're going to get a better content consumption experience with the Stylo 6 compared to the K51. Now taking a look at the left side of both devices, they both feature a volume up and volume down button. They both feature a Google Assistant button, which in my opinion is pretty useless. I am someone that uses my Google Home Mini quite a bit, but I just never use the Google Assistant button on these phones. And then with the Stylo 6, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. Another difference too is that with the Stylo 6, we have this metallic band running around the sides of the phone, whereas with the K51, it's kind of just a more boring, polished plastic. Then taking a look at the right side of the two devices, with the K51, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card, we have the power button, and then with the Stylo 6, we just have the power button. Then on the top of both devices, we have the noise-canceling microphone, and then on the bottom, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, the microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer. We have the speaker, and then of course, with the LG Stylo 6, we get the stylus. Now out of these two phones, the Stylo 6 is the only device, of course, with the stylus. And for the Stylo 6, LG has made some improvements. For example, we now have a pop-out, pop-in stylus mechanism. So that definitely makes things a little bit more fancier and more sophisticated. Kind of reminds me of how things work with the various Galaxy Note phones from Samsung. But of course, you can draw on the device. You can take, various notes, do whatever you want. You can also use the stylus for just general navigation. So it certainly does work really well. But the stylus is one of those things that you're either going to use it all the time, or you're going to use it like once or twice and never use it again. So it really depends on you as a person, how you plan on using the phone. But if you don't really see yourself using the stylus a whole lot, then that definitely gives the Stylo 6 one less advantage compared to the K51. Now taking a look at the back of the two devices, we do have a pretty similar design in a sense, considering that both phones have a triple camera setup. They both have a fingerprint sensor, and then they both have the LG logo. However, I definitely prefer the color and the whole look of the back of the Stylo 6. It kind of reminds me of the LG Velvet, for example, but on the other hand, the K51 doesn't look bad, and both phones do definitely pick up quite a few fingerprints. But the fingerprints are more obvious with the K51. Now I did install a variety of my favorite applications to test out on both phones. I have not had any issues with any of these apps. Of course, with the Stylo 6, I generally get better performance since the phone has a better processor, but all these apps work perfectly fine with both of these phones. Let's now do a speed test comparison between these two devices. Now I did clear out all of my recent apps, so no need to worry about that, but we're going to start by pulling up the camera app. So 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like the Stylo 6 was a little bit quicker, however it was pretty close between the two phones. Another thing I want to mention too, by the way, before I forget, is that you do have the option with the Stylo 6 of switching back to the traditional Android navigation buttons. So if you're not a fan of the gesture navigation, then you do have that option. So I just wanted to make that clear because I know that the gesture navigation is not for everybody. Let's now go to Google Chrome. 1, 2, 3, go. And it looks like in this test, the K51 is quicker at pulling up Chrome. Let's now go to yahoo.com. 1, 2, 3, go. And And it looks like a little bit quicker with pulling up Yahoo with the K51 compared to the Stylo 6. But again, very close. Let's go to Engadget. 1, 2, 3, go. Looks like the K51 was a little bit quicker pulling up Engadget as well. And the video loaded a little bit quicker too with the K51. And it looks like, let's see which phone pulls up the ad first. If either will ever do it. Well, I'm not sure. Scrolling is nice and smooth with both phones as well, given that they are budget phones. Let's go to an article. Let me pick one here. Go to this article. So 1, 2, 3, go. And that article was first to pull up here with the LG Stylo 6. Pinch to zoom, nice and smooth with both phones. That's not a problem. So from my experience of doing that speed test comparison, it doesn't really seem like one device is significantly faster than the other. Now, despite the K51 having a lower benchmark score and a generally weaker processor, I was pretty impressed on how well it was able to keep up with the LG Stylo 6. So I would say that the difference in performance between these two devices really isn't as significant as you might think it is. Now, when it does come to running multiple apps at the same time, maybe having a lot of background tasks running, the Stylo 6 will definitely do a better job, so keep that in mind. But again, if you're one of those people that is maybe more of a typical smartphone user, not someone that is running all kinds of apps or different tasks in the background and just really running one app at a time, then you're gonna have a good experience with either of these two phones, especially considering that you can snag these at very good prices. So in conclusion, which phone is the better choice? So definitely the Stylo 6 does everything better than the K51. There really is nothing about the K51 that is better than the Stylo 6. For example, you're getting double the amount of storage with the Stylo 6. You're getting a stylus. You're getting a slightly more powerful processor. You're getting a 20.5:9 aspect ratio compared to kind of an older aspect ratio and a smaller display overall. And as far as the cameras go, from my experience, I've been able to take better photos and videos with the Stylo 6 compared to the K51. So mostly it comes down to which phone you can get at a better price. For example, right now at Boost Mobile, the Stylo 6 is about $90 more expensive. So do I feel like this phone is worth $90 more than the K51? Not really, no. I mean, if I was gonna save $90, I would go for the K51. But if money is not an issue and you just want to have the better phone of the two, then go for the Stylo 6. Or for whatever reason, whatever carrier you're with happens to offer these two phones at the same exact price, then definitely go for the Stylo 6. But in general, I don't think you're gonna regret buying either of these two phones, especially if you can save money off of the retail price. But I hope you enjoyed this video about the LG K51 and the LG Stylo 6. I'm definitely curious to know which phone you think is the better value of the two and which one you would rather pick. But my name is Kevin. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Take a look at the links in the video description to see the most up-to-date pricing. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, sub to the channel, and have a great rest of your day.